Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inshallah, today we'll talk about key distribution and hash function. We already practiced how to generate public key and private key, pair of keys using the cryptos and how to encrypt message and so on. And also we practice how to verify the message using the signature verification. And also we experience the RSA and DS or EAES hybrid encryption. And the last thing that we have learned is how to generate numbers using the RSA calculation P and Q. Today, inshallah, we will talk about how we distribute the key because we talk about that we have symmetric and asymmetric encryption. But how do we exchange the key? Yes, we want to encrypt the message between each other, and that's the good thing, okay? But how do we tell each other the key? Okay, there's a different way now. We could either use symmetric, we could use asymmetric, we could use hybrid, which join both of them. So let's see some of the things that we can use and how to verify the signature. All right, so what we're going to learn today is a few things that's related to cryptography and public key. We talk about key distribution. Okay. Now, as we know that we have to deliver the key to the other person, that he need to decrypt your message or encrypt message for you. So how do we do that? How we tell the other person that this is the key? This is called a key distribution. So the key distribution is basically is a function that we use in order what? In order to distribute or give the key or deliver the key to the other party who are going to communicate with you or in a secure way. So we have some protocol or some mechanism that we use in order to deliver the key or distribute the key in a secure way. Now, the most used actually technique, or we use what we use is public key encryption. You don't want to say, okay, we're gonna encrypt the message. I'm gonna send you my key using the WhatsApp, or I'm gonna send it using a message using Twitter or Instagram or something like this. This is not secure. Okay, we're talking about a more secure way to deliver the key to the other person. So we use public key encryption. Okay, which is a most used one to authenticate the public key or to make sure that the person is who claimed to be. And also we have something called a public key certificate, which is give us more security in order to make sure that there's no change in the message or the communication in the way. Then we will have to understand something about message authentication. So the message authentication is basically a mechanism or service that used to verify the integrity of the message. When we say integrity of the message, we mean that the content of the message is not changed. So there's underline here underneath that used to verify the integrity of the message. And remember that message authentication is used to verify what? The integrity of the message. There are two common way in a cryptography to do that, or for message authentication. We have something called MAC, which is not the MAC IP address. It is something, a shortcut for message authentication code. And we also have something called hash function. I'm sure you heard about each one of them. And if you have a capstone project before and you encrypted the password, probably use the hash function or a message authentication key. These two are one-way calculation. If you have the output from each one of them, you cannot get the input. So it is just one-way calculation of that. Now, the MAC is an algorithm that use what? That use a secret key. And this is the difference between them. And the hash function actually does not require what? Does not require a secret key. So the MAC, when we say MAC, that means we need a secret key. But when we talk about hash function, we don't need actually a hash function. Okay. The hash function is if you have a message and you calculate the hash function for the message, it will give you the same output. length, the same output length. If the message is 2 letter, or the message 5 letter, or the message 100 letters, the output of the hash function is the same length. It's not the same output, but the same length. We'll see an example later on. So what happened now? We'll talk about something called, first, before we go on, we could talk about something called digital signature. We know that in the real world, we have something called signature, all right? And which is a manual signature, someone signed in the paper using the pen. But from now on, people is moving to digitalized world, and because of the situation now, like COVID-19, for example, and people communicate through the internet. So we need something called a digital signature to verify. Now, if there's a digital signature, how they do it and how we verify that digital signature. So the definition of the digital signature is basically an authentication. It is the main definition for it. It is what? It is an mechanism. When we say authentication mechanism, that means that we have to verify the identity of the person as he claimed to be. So if I sign a message digitally for you, you authenticate this by saying that, is this Dr. Munder or not? Okay. That enable what? That enable the writer of the message to attach a code that act as a signature. So basically, you write a message. This is the message. Then you attach a code with it. Okay, that is your signature actually. So that's what is the digital signature definition if we're going to talk identify it in a formal way. Now, the signature is taken by using what? By using actually the hash of the message and the encryption of the message with what? With the private key. So this is the message and this is the signature. Okay. How we do this, the signature. Signature is taken by taking the hash of the message, and what? And the encryption, what? And the encryption of the message with the private key, with the message with the private key. So you have to send these two together. You have to send the message encrypted, and you have to send the hash of the message together. The message encrypted in order someone not to see it. The hash function in order to make sure that the message has not been changed. Okay, so this is how we do it. Now the signature, the digital signature, guarantee the source. This is the first thing, and integrity of the message. Now because we have the digital signature, we have something called authentication that verify the source of the message is actually accurate, and because we have the hash function, we make sure that the message is not changed. If you change one letter in the function, in the message, the hash function will change. If you change the time of the message, the hash function will change. So it is a very sensitive calculation that depends on the content of the message itself. Now this is the definition of the signature. We use hybrid cryptosystem. We experience hybrid cryptosystem using cryptools. Okay. Now in here we use hybrid cryptosystem to what? To do the message authentication or do the key exchange. Now, as we know that, as we experience that, the hybrid cryptosystem is basically a combination between what? Between the two types of encryption, symmetric and asymmetric. So it's the combination between the public key cryptosystem and what? And the symmetric key cryptosystem. This one is using two keys, okay? And this one is using one key. So how is that happening? Okay. Now, now the hybrid cryptosystem can be constructed using two separate ways. Okay. Now there's the focus could be either on the key, or the focus could be either on the data. So when we focus on the key, we say key encapsulation. We can say what? Key encapsulation. Okay. Now in this case, we use what? Public key cryptosystem. In this case, we have the key. We encapsulate the key using what? Using the public key. We have the secret key. We encapsulate it using the public key. Similar one with what we did when we encrypt the session key in the crypt tools. Okay, but when we talk about data encapsulation, we take the message. This is the message, and we encrypt the message. Okay, using what? Using the key. So there's two things here. So we encapsulate the key and we encrypt the message. Okay, we encrypt the message using the secret key, but we encapsulate this secret key using the public key encryption. How's that happening? All right, this is now two separate ways that we can do the hybrid crypto system. Again, when we talk about hybrid crypto system, you can say that the other definition is that hybrid crypto system is a protocol that use multiple cipher of different type together. Multiple cipher of different type. If they are the same type, this is not called hybrid. But if they are in different type, we call it hybrid. Similar to the car, hybrid cars. Okay, they use like benzene and they use electric. So they are hybrid. Okay, they use two different fuel on their work. All right. One common approach to generate the random secret key of the symmetric cipher, and then after that we encrypt the key using the public key. So that's what happened. I already demonstrated that. Now the message again will be encrypted using what? Using the symmetric key, and the both will be encrypted using what? Using the secret key. So that's what happened. Okay, then you have the key, secret key, and you have the message. Okay, and then you have the public key. What happened? You take this message and encrypt it using what? Using the key, the symmetric key. You encrypt the message, and then after that you take this key and you encrypt it using what? You encrypt it using the public key. You encrypt the same key and you send them together to the recipient or the other party. Now the recipient, he need to decrypt the key first. He need to take the key from the encryption. He need to get this in order to get what? In order to get the key. And after that, he will use the key to decrypt the message. That's the scenario it's happened. Message authentication. So the message authentication concern about three things. Okay, concern about three things. The first thing is what? Integrity of the message. We need to make sure that the message is what? Not changed. When we say changed, we're talking about the content of the message. We're talking about what? The content of the message. Okay, if I write to you that we will have a test inshallah on Tuesday, and so when we use the message authentication make sure that the content is not changed, not someone change it to Monday, not someone change it to next Wednesday, and so on. So this is the integrity of the message. The content of the message is not changed. Okay. Also, identify the originator by authenticate the creator of the message. Who sent the message? Creator of the message. Who's the sender of the message? Is he the right person claimed to be, or it's a fake identity? And the last thing is that no repudiation of the original message. So what happened is this no repudiation is that, okay, this message is already sent before, it's not repeated, it's not faked, and so on. So these are the three things that the message authentication focus on when we do the message authentication. This is you can say this is the main objectives of what? Of message authentication. Okay. Now there are three types that may be used to authenticate the message. We can use the message encryption. We know what is the message encryption. We will use the MAC, or we can use the hash function. Message encryption, we know it. We encrypt the message using a private key or public key, or you even using secret key. And this is something already known, and everyone uses it long time ago. But the new thing is that what we can use MAC or the hash function. What is the hash function? Okay, as I said, that the hash function, the first thing that you need to know about the hash function is what? It is what? A mathematical function. This is the first thing that you need to remember about the hash function. Okay, what does that mathematical function do? It converts the numerical input into what? Into compressed numerical value. So you have the input, the hash function will convert it into what? Into compressed numerical value. It's an equation, input, and you give you the output. The input is number and the output is compressed numbers. Okay, now the length of the output is fixed. This is the main thing that you need to know. Okay, now no matter how long is the input, the output is what? Is fixed length. This is the second thing that you need to remember. The output is what? Is a fixed length, no matter how long is the input. Okay, so for example, here we have box is one word. If we calculate the hash function for it, and this is the length. But if you have a very long sentence like this one, you can see that the length of the hash is the same. If it's 1 letter, 2 letter, 100 letter, 1,000 letter, the length of the output is what? Is fixed. This is the second thing that you need to remember. Okay, now we call the value, this value here, the output of the function, of the hash function, we call it message digest, or sometimes we call it what? Hash value. That what you should, third thing that you need to remember. That's the thing. And as you can see here, there is no key. No key needed. No key. Okay, key is not needed here. This is the fourth thing that you need to remember. So one is a mathematical function and convert a numerical input to a numerical compressed output. Fixed length, the output, no matter how long is the input, the output has a fixed length. We call the output message digest, or we call it hash value, and there's no key needed here. So if you change one letter, the whole value will be changed. So for example, look at this message. The only difference is what? Is one letter. Is that correct? But the hash value is totally different. And the same thing here. If you delete one letter, this letter here deleted, B is deleted from here. Okay, not change, delete. The total output hash value for both of them will be totally different. Any small change, okay, any small change in the message, that will change everything. So this is how the hash function is basically used. So the hash function, this is the message. We calculate the hash value for the message. The hash value depends on the text written on the message. And when it's sent to the person, okay, the person will have the message and hash. How do we make sure that this is not changed? The person needs to calculate the hash again from the beginning and do compare, because you cannot reverse the hash. If they are the same, then the message is not changed. If there's a difference, then the message is changed. Very simple. Okay, so this is the hash function. What about the message authentication? The message authentication is almost the same. Okay, basically all it is what? It is a asymmetric key encryption technique. This is the first thing that you need to remember. The MAC is a asymmetric key cryptographic technique. What does it do? Provide what? Provide authentication. Provide what? Authentication. What about hash value? Okay, the hash value is for what? For the integrity of the message, not for what? Not for authentication. Okay, now this is the second thing, for authentication. Now, to do that, what happens is that the sender and receiver need to share a key. So we need what? This is the third thing that you need to do. The difference. You need a secret key. And they have to share the secret key between them, because the message authentication need a secret key. All right. Now, same as the hash, it will produce what? Fixed length. This is the same thing, the similarity between them. They both produce fixed length of output, no matter what, no matter how long is that. The only difference, the main difference between them is that what? The key. This one need a key. The hash does not need what? A key. All right. So let's see the difference between them. This is MAC and this is hash. This is mathematical function, and this is what? Symmetric algorithm. Okay. All right. The other difference is what? This one need key. This one no key. Okay. These are this one is used for integrity. This one used for what? Authentication. The similarity between them, they have fixed length and what? Take input and produce numerical output. Okay, this is what happened. This is exactly the scenario of what happened. All right. Now this is the sender and this is the receiver. First of all, the sender will write a message. Okay, he need to write a message, and then what happened is that he need to use the MAC algorithm, and the MAC algorithm need a key. So you give the message and the key to the MAC algorithm, that will produce what? The MAC value. The MAC value, which is the message authentication code. All right, which is a fixed length. No matter how long is the message, the length of the MAC is same. And you need to send both. You need to send the message and the MAC to the receiver. Okay, so what happened now? When the receiver receives the message, take the message, give it into the algorithm, they use the same key. So they need to share this key. And he will get the MAC. Okay? Now, the MAC is compared to the value with the message that comes with the message. So we have the one with the message. This one came with the message. And this one is calculated now. And compare them together. If they are the same, okay, then what? The message authenticated. And the integrity is checked. If they are different, then what? Someone changed the message. Or it's not the person that he claimed to be. Okay, now this is the MAC and this is the hash. We talk a little bit about the digital signature. Let's go back to the digital signature and see something more about this digital signature. So the digital signature, we said it's a public key, okay, and used for message authentication mainly. So we said it is public key and it is what? It is used for message authentication. It is a technique that combine what? That combine the data with the identity of the person. So this is the data and this is the person who sent it. Okay? Now, okay, why we bind them together? In order what? In order to verify the sender by the receiver. So if I receive a message, I need to make sure that this message came from my friend that I know, not someone claimed to be. Okay? Now, the value is calculated from the data and the secret key. Now, the difference between hash and MAC calculated the value from the message data, from the content of the message. But the digital signature, as we said, that you have the message and you attach a code to it, which is the digital signature. Now, the digital signature is actually calculated from the data in the message and the key. Two things, data and the secret key. This is how it happened. So you want to send something. We call you the signer, okay? This is, for example, Dr. Manda. Want to send you a file about the assignment, okay? Now, the receiver is who? The receiver, let's say, for example, is, let's say, Maha, for example, gonna receive this file, okay? So, I write the message, and then I calculate the hash value from using the hash algorithm for the message. I need to calculate the hash value. So I calculate the hash value and then I do the encryption for both what? With the private key, which is a secret key. All right, private key encryption. All right, so this is what happened now. I have the message signed. I have the message now signed, and then attach a code. This code is the digital signature here. So the message and the code is digital signature. We can say this message is digitally what? Digitally signed. So we attach a sign. After we calculate the hash value, we have to calculate the digital signature, which combine the data and the hash value and the secret message, and the key. So you send this file through the internet. Okay? When it's received by Maha, let's say, okay, he will receive this message, digital sign. He will calculate the hash value and decrypt the message using the public key. The message here encrypted by my private key. And this public key use another public key. So they decrypt the message, and then in the message you have the hash value inside the message. So you calculate the hash value and you get the hash value and compare them together. If they are the same, the message is not changed. If they are different, the signature is invalid. This is how the crypt tool verify the signature, okay, by using the hash value verification. Okay, so if the hash value is the same, the calculated and the one saved with the message, then Maha will say this message is sent from Dr. Munder and no one changed it. If they are different, then Maha has to suspect that some of the guys, let's say for example, Aisha claimed to be Munder and sent her the message and so on, so something. Okay, or any attacker. Okay, let's say Aisha is the attacker. Now, okay, good. Another way in more details. This is the signer. I have the message. I calculate the hash value. The hash value is here. Then what I do, I have to sign the algorithm. I have to sign the document using my private key. This is the private key and this is the signature. The output will be the data, the message, and the signature. So we call this one is a signed message. And then we send it. When it's sent, okay, it will calculate the hash value for the message only, calculate the hash value, and take the signature by decrypting it using the public key. We get the hash value. If the hash value stored in the signature is the same as the calculated one, then it's okay. Message is checked and the integrity is checked, the authentication is checked. All right. If they are different, then we suspect that some message somehow changed.